This is Shelley with Putnam County District Library, Guiding Ohio Online Grant. This week we're looking at adding contacts into Google. Now there's a couple different ways you can do that, and I will show you both two ways today. So I've got my Gmail added here on the back end, and what I've got is an account that I have created with the library. And so I have in here just some emails that have come through. Before we go into the actual adding of a contact, I do want to kind of as a side note before we start, show you how I have an Edpuzzle here, which I just want to click on this and show you the difference, because when I have an Edpuzzle, this is actually an email with organization that I subscribe to. So I wanted you to make note and notice how I got up here the email address. Now I'm not going to be able, I'm not going to add this as a I guess I could add it as a contact, but I also wanted you to see before I did that how you can have the option here to unsubscribe. So if for some reason you are receiving emails that you might not want, you can actually, when it's a company like this, many times you have the option right here at the top to simply click on unsubscribe. I'm not going to unsubscribe from this one, but I am going to show you how. Notice here out to the side I have the icon, and it's what the icon is for an Edpuzzle. And when I look and click on that, or I actually didn't click on it, when I just hover over it, this pops up, and I can go out here to the side, and this is where I would add a contact. So I'm simply going to click on Add Contacts, and now that has been added into my contacts. I'm going to go back into my inbox here by clicking on the arrow, and I have here some emails that came from a Sally Library, which is actually an account I had created. So again, to add a contact, I'm going to click here on the actual email, and I'm going to go out here to the side. Now notice this is just an image that looks like a person. It's a generic image because a lot of times people might add their own picture, their own physical picture of themselves, or an image like you saw with the Edpuzzle. Same thing, I'm going to go here to Add Contacts, and when I click here on Add Contact, it has now put that person of Sally Library into my contacts. To see my contacts, I'm going to go over here to my 9 dots, and one of the options is Contacts. When I click on Contacts, what you're going to see is you're going to see the two that I had added. I had added Edpuzzle, and I added Sally Library. Now there are 2 locations here. One is out here to the side where you have 6 dots, or out here on the right side where you can actually star a contact. So if I star a contact, what that's going to do is it's always going to take that contact, put him at the top. So typically you would star a contact because it's something that maybe you use someone you contact very often. I also have the option to click here on my pencil to edit, so I could change the information that I have in here. Notice all that comes across with the email is the first name, last name, and the email address. But I could make labels, and so in other words, I could label this and say maybe it's everything that has to do with work. So I could make a label titled Work, and then anyone that has anything to do with work, I would put them under that label. I also can add notes, as well as I can click on Show More, and I can add maybe a nickname of the individual, any of this information, address, and then even a birthday. And a birthday, then, if you have your Google account created, it's going to feed that information into your calendar as well, so you would see that. And then the next part I wanted to show you, after you've added contacts, you now have the option. I'm going to click here, go back a screen. You're going to see my recent interactions. So this is the emails that have went back and forth with us. I also have the option here to send an email. I can schedule an event. So maybe if we've talked about an event in terms of maybe a Zoom meeting or something we might have, I can add that to my calendar. I can send a message, or I can even start a video call with this person. And then I'm going to go back one more time here, and I want you to see how I also have the option here when I go, if I were to say, click on this, put the star, I now can go out here to the side with my actions, and I can print this contact. I could export it, which if I export, it's going to give me the option of Google or Outlook CSV files as well as iOS contacts. And then I also have the option, of course, to delete. I can actually hide a contact if I don't want a contact to always be showing up for me. And then this is where my label would be. Say if I wanted to label this, I actually created a label titled library. So I would click on this, and then they would be placed in with any of my emails that maybe come from anyone that has to do with the library. That is how you create a contact. As I showed you, there's actually two ways. You can go in through the physical email itself, or you can go into contacts, and when you're in here, you can actually go here. The second way is to create a contact, and if I were to say create a contact, it's going to give me the option then to put in someone's name. I'm going to title this one Sally, and I happen to have two people with the same name that I created, and then I'm going to click on the email, and I am going to add in Sally library, but instead of the 10, this one was 20 that I had made. Oops, got to type Gmail correctly. And I hit save. And now I have, when I go back to my contacts, I have a Sally library that is 20 at gmail.com, and I have a Sally library 10 at gmail.com. And again, like I said, if say both of these are something that I email on a regular basis, I'm going to add a star, and that will dump both of those individuals up to the very top of my screen when I go to my contacts. Hope you have found this useful, and we will see you next week for another session with the Putnam County District Library. Thanks for joining us.